People are coming in. Paul Webb's just joining from Tesco. Paul, welcome to you. And let me say welcome to everyone for what I hope is going to be an entertaining, informative, and perhaps, just perhaps, you'll find in these startups someone who's solving a problem that you didn't know how it could be solved. So we're really looking forward to it. We've got our judges on here. We've got a number of academics as well as retailers from all corners of the world. Jeremy, the floor is yours, and I'm looking forward to this as much as anyone else. So please take us away.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Colin. Really excited to be here again for yet another innovation showcase. We're going to jump into this in just a second. Let's hit the share slideshow there, Henry. Yeah, it's not quite mode yet. So just to, can we get that up? Ooh, there we go. Thank you. All right. Yeah, really exciting to be back here for the ECR Top 30 Innovations in E-commerce. We did this earlier in the year looking at food waste. This session is all about e-commerce, and we've got an amazing show lined up for you here today. As Colin said, my name's Jeremy Bassett, and I'm CEO of CoCubed. At CoCubed, we're absolutely passionate about helping the world's biggest retailers and brands partner with the world's most innovative startups. Our big belief is that the future already exists, it just hasn't been scaled. And so today is all about helping retailers develop solutions. If you've just joined, you might want to jump on mute, and then when it's your turn to present, we'll bring you off mute, or if you want to ask a question, by all means, come off mute as well. At CoCubed, we track and monitor over 12 million different solutions right around the world, and there's a huge amount of innovation happening in the e-commerce space. But of course, one of the things we talk about is that it all begins with the problem, and there's been two key things that's helped us understand the problem when it comes to e-commerce. First of all, Adrian Beck's report is fantastic in helping articulate the challenges that are going on around e-commerce and to provide some structure there. And the numbers are quite terrifying, to be honest. You know, as retail sales, as e-commerce sales start to account for 20, sometimes over 20% of total sales, this becomes a bigger issue. And what we're seeing is that fraudulent transactions, for instance, are still making up over 3% of e-commerce sales, which is phenomenal when you think about it. But it's not just fraud, it's also issues around retail loss from returns, for example. And we'll dive into some of those issues today. But we didn't just take an academic approach to it, we also heard from the retailers. And they gave us 17 different areas where they're seeing e-commerce facing key challenges when it comes to loss. And so together with this brief, we've been on a journey. And that journey began back in May, where Colin and the team from ECR assembled a panel of judges. And I just want to say a huge thank you to all of our judges for being involved in this process. Your support in reviewing the startups, in rating them, and in sharing your feedback has been instrumental in getting to where we are today. Colin, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, no, just to re-emphasize that point, really. I mean, you know, without the judges, you know, we really probably would be in a space where we didn't know out of the 125 which ones were the most relevant. So your help has been tremendous in terms of just pointing us to the ones that you think are the most highly rated. That helped us get to the top 30, and then we've got to weigh and pick the top 10 from that.
Exactly. And so the journey has been you know, taking that feedback, getting back to the top 30, which we'll share a link at the end of this for you to explore the top 30 as well. And then the 9 that you're going to be seeing here today. The way this runs is it's going to be a pretty sharp ship today as we explore the top 9. They each have 5 minutes to pitch, and then we've got 5 minutes for questions. So we'd love you to be involved in this. Start thinking about what questions you might have for the solution providers. And there'll be an opportunity for you to ask those questions either in the chat or coming onto video. 3 quick tips to help you get the most from the session. First one is get ready to be inspired. The 9 solutions you're going to see here today really do dive into the challenges around e-commerce, and you'll see different ways of approaching different challenges for e-commerce. So prepared to be inspired and prepared to put that inspiration to work. We want you to think big about how you can turn that inspiration into an in-market trial, for instance. So think big, but start small and move fast. So think about how could this innovation transform your business or your customer experience, but also think, how could I test this out quickly, easily, and perhaps cheaply to allow your business to start to innovate, experiment with these tools, and hopefully get to the future faster. Third key tip, though, is that this is very much the start line. So today we want this to be an introduction to 9 innovative solutions that you could be working with. But what we'd love to have happen after today is for you to think about how could you apply their solution to your business? How could you introduce them to your colleagues across your business? How can you perhaps introduce them to people in your network that could benefit from their solution as well? So please do see this as a start of a conversation. Also, we don't want you just to be statically involved. We really want you to be active as sharks in this. This is your moment to be a shark in the Shark Tank. We're asking for you to also share your thoughts on which companies out of the 9 that you're going to see here today are the most innovative, the most likely to deliver impact back to your business and the industry, the most exciting from a technological perspective, and then perhaps the most relevant to you. So the retailer's choice is the last award. So we'll be announcing those awards after this event. But to say thank you for sharing your voting and selection, we've got a couple of chocolate hampers that we'll give to you. So jump into the link that should be appearing in the chat, open up that file, and through that Google form, you'll be able to rate and review each of the 9 solution providers as they pitch. So once they pitch, jump into that, give them a rating and review, and then we'll go to the next one. We'd really love you to stick around for the whole 2 hours. There's some amazing startups. We have left the best to last, of course. So do stick around, and if you do stick around, your efforts will be rewarded, hopefully with one of the 2 chocolate hampers there as well. All right, well, that is it from me. It is time for the show to begin. And our first solution provider is offering a risk detection method that's designed to protect the entire user journey while also allowing merchants to understand their end user. From Nethone, here's Raza.
And just before Raza, just to share that once the pitch is over, what I'm going to be doing is coming out to some of the judges for some reactions. So be ready to hit that unmute button and share just some immediate responses or thoughts and any questions that you might have. Okay, Raza.
Perfect. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Jeremy. Can you guys hear me before I continue? Awesome. I think, Jeremy, you were meant to say you left the best till first, right? I think there's
exactly
there. But yeah, so just to introduce myself, I'm Raza Shah. I am a senior business development executive at Nethone. So who are we? We are a fraud prevention solution. We make use of machine learning and advanced rules technology to protect businesses from online fraud. This is cross industry. We look at fashion retailers, travel retailers, gaming, banks, fintechs, cryptos, you name it. Anyone with an online presence, we are able to protect them with our solution. We were recently included in the Financial Times' fastest growing European company, so we're definitely on an upwards trajectory, and we are very proud to recently have some heavy investment from Advent International as well. So if I move on to the next slide. So what is our solution? We offer a modularized fraud detection solution. As I mentioned, it covers the end-to-end life cycle of a customer's journey on your website. So we start from things like the new user acquisition, new registrations on your website. So we are able to detect whether this is a genuine customer or whether it's a bot or maybe a fraudster who is registering a new account on your website. We look at logins as well as the next stage. So we are able to detect whether this is a genuine customer logging in to your website, or maybe it's a fraudster who has got hold of credentials, maybe through some kind of data breach. We're able to look at things like behavioral biometrics. So for that login attempt, we can see the genuine user has logged in a particular way for the past 5 attempts. So they've been typing in a particular fashion. They've been using a particular device in a particular location. Now the 6th login attempt looks a bit risky. The typing speed is very different. It's from a different location, a different device is being used. That is risky, and that is what we can detect, and we can block or add additional friction into that login attempt. Moving on to the actual payment on your website. So we know, we just heard about, you know, how fraud has increased, 3% was it? We can actually, when it comes to the payment itself, again, using that same technology, we can see whether it's a genuine customer on your website, or whether maybe it's a fraudster who has got hold of a stolen credit card and is masking their identity somehow. We can pick that information up and block them. And then it comes to the interesting topics of refund abuse, return abuse. So again, we can actually see, let's say you as a business, you have a policy in place that allows for refunds, maybe item not received, right? So you get a lot of people saying, oh, I never received an item. They claim for a refund. Maybe for the first 3 attempts, this person is given a refund, but on the 4th attempt, you block it, and that's part of your policy. Now, people are getting around that by actually changing their identities. They might change their email address, they might change their physical address. We're able to actually detect this is the same person who is asking for another item not received refund. Okay, so that's something that we can do. How do we do it? A lot of it is around the profiler that we have. So this is a piece of technology that sits on your website, and what it's doing is it's constantly picking up data points and data attributes of the user on the other end. So there's tons there. We've got thousands. I've just listed a few, but I think one of them I want to call out, which is quite interesting, is we look at things very granular. We look at things like the gyro readings on someone's mobile phone. So if they're placing an order on the phone, and it's an interesting use case that I'm going to share with you, that we can detect whether the phone that they ordered from on your website was actually moving or not. So we have a use case here that I can share with you. Now, it was one of our European merchants. They were having a lot of fraud on their website. So we had a look at the data, we had a look at the orders, and we realized that all of these orders, they're coming from a mobile device or mobile devices, but the gyrometer is still. So the phone's not moving when these orders are being placed. So we detected it as a classic case of a fraud ring where they have these racked up devices, right? And I'm not sure if you can see the picture there, but it looks like that. So on a wall, there's 20, 30, 40 devices, all running fraudulent programs, trying to defraud your website. So we detected that, we made some signals, we made some new models, and we were able to stop those fraudulent orders in their tracks. We blocked the fraud ring, we decreased the chargeback rates. And that's the importance of having this granular data of your user, right? So it's that kind of below the surface level that we can actually pick up on each of your users. Interestingly, and I've only got a few seconds left, but we have a first-hand darknet intelligence team. So we have a team dedicated to go on the darknet. Now, to you and I, we use maybe Google as our search engine. To the fraudsters, they access the darknet, which is accessed through Tor networks, through Telegram accounts, and they're discussing constantly on there how to defraud businesses, right? So we have a team. If you become a client of ours, we will have a dedicated team who will scour the darknet, see if there's any mention of your brand. And what we do is we reverse engineer any of those fraud tools or those fraud techniques into our models to make sure that we can catch them going forward. That's all I wanted to cover. It was very short and sharp. But yeah, I would be happy to run anyone through a demo or a further call if required.
Brilliant. Thank you, Raza. So Colin's going to jump on now.
Yes, I am. Remember the Google Forms. Andrew is with our friends at Halfords. Andrew, first of all, I hope I got that right. I think I have. But Andrew, anything new, different, any questions that you might have? I'm only choosing you because you're the first on. You're the most attentive today, so that's why I picked on you first.
Yeah, I was just a quick one. You mentioned obviously it's a fraud solution. Is it only a fraud solution, or could you act it as a bolt-on to an existing one? Because it is quite an interesting idea that you're actually, I mean, obviously I'm not aware of every fraud solution out there, but the fact that you've actually got people looking and scouring the dark web to understand what the fraudsters are potentially going to do, and then taking that back into the solution to block them at that point, rather than what I think with a lot of them, I guess, because I said I've not been on everybody else's fraud solution, they wait until the fraud attack comes and then try and script it by then, if you see what I mean. So yours is very, by the sound of it, very proactive, and I'm very interested about your device ID identifications as well. And I was just interested in, again, whether it would be a complete change, or could it be a bolt-on to an existing solution? I don't know. I'm interested in your answer on that.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Yes, we provide like an end-to-end solution that can cover you. We have a module called Guard, which actually does all of that profile, the device ID detection. If you just want the data points that we collect, and you have your own in-house team who create their own rules, let's say fraud rules, we can give you that kind of raw information from our profiler. So you will get all of the device ID, IP, the geolocation, all of that information, and you can do something. We'll do whatever you want with that information. So we can, traditionally it's an end-to-end solution, but if you just want those kind of data points that we can pick up through our profiler, that's something we can give to you as a separate module. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Sonia's with H&M up there in the Nordics. Sonia, anything new or different that you see here? Anything surprising? Any questions you might have? You're able to unmute yourself. Hey, Hannah.
Yeah, hello. No, to be honest, it's the first time that I'm joining the e-commerce meeting, because it's my colleagues from Central Team who joins. So I'm much more listening today, to be honest.
Perfect. Well, I hope you've understood that one. And again, please, everyone, remember to go into the ratings. There's chocolates involved. Right. Back to you, Jeremy.
Perfect. Thank you, Colin and Raza. Fantastic start there. Thank you for that pitch. And like Colin said, please do jump into the feedback form. Give your feedback. If you'd like an introduction to any of these companies as well, you can tick the box in the feedback form there as well. And we'll make sure we make an introduction right after that. But right now, it's time for our second pitch. And next up, we've got Steve from Willet to explain more about how their platform combines cloud services and IoT pixels. Steve, over to you.
Wonderful. It's great to get a chance to join you all. I'm Steve Statler. I'm Chief Marketing Officer at Williot, talking to you from Dallas today. So the Internet of Things is not new. IoT has been with us for a while, but it's really got stuck as the Internet of expensive things. Either expensive trackers or low-cost tags with expensive readers and infrastructure, which has meant limited functionality. Williot is focused on ambient IoT, and we're doing it with devices like this. This is our ambient IoT Pixel. It's a postage stamp device with an ARM processor. It talks Bluetooth. It's battery-free. And by next year, it will cost single-digit pennies, and it gives real-time visibility to every single thing. So we're currently working with a number of the largest retailers in the world on large-scale projects. At this stage, this year, we will deploy approximately 150 million of these, and over the next 2 years, we will scale to double digits of billions of IoT pixels in stores and end-to-end in the supply chain. You can see we've got some amazing investors from Amazon to PepsiCo, to Qualcomm, Samsung, and so forth. We have offices around the world, here in the States, in San Diego, Bentonville, and where I am in Dallas today. So what we're doing is moving from a paradigm where inventory gets scanned to inventory being sensed continuously, rather than going through choke points or being scanned with manual handheld scanners. The commodity radios that surround us can be used to constantly read the presence of products right from end to end through the manufacturing, distribution. We're currently working on adding very low-cost Bluetooth readers to tens of thousands of delivery vehicles to track the temperature and presence of everything from strawberries to packages and postal items, one of the largest postal services in the world. So this end-to-end visibility is key to getting an understanding of what's in the supply chain, what's in the store, where it is in the store, and then eventually in the future, what's happening in the home. So what does that look like? If you look at this slide, what you're seeing is something that hasn't been possible before. This is one of our tags, one of our customers' stores on a crate of Humble detergent, and you'll see that we can track the movement of that. It's rather dysfunctional path from the back of the store front because of the front of the store due to overstocking. But this is something that we can flag and actually help out with not just post analysis, but triggers that help people fix the problems of having the wrong product in the wrong place at the wrong time. So one of the things that you may be wondering is how what I'm talking about differs from the legacy RFID technology, which is really something that we have built upon. And one of the key elements is that the infrastructure, the readers, cost tens of dollars rather than hundreds of dollars or pounds. This is born with sensing and cloud technology. Because it's Bluetooth, we've added security, data ownership provisions, and the fact that the insights are real time. So in summary, and you can see a video here from a browser that allows you to see the digital passport associated with an item. You can see the temperature of it and all sorts of things. But the practical applications of this are real-time visibility of inventory that allows you to understand when products were last seen. So that, and we've seen a reduction in shrink from 60% to less than 10% in one of the categories where this has been applied to, simply because you can understand where the shrink is occurring. And also you can have an inventory system that recovers so that you don't have anomalies and out of stocks. And really one of the main drivers for the application of this is reducing labor costs that allows you to stick to regulatory compliance requirements, have a smaller format store, which is a much better customer experience where workers and staff are focused on delivering good service rather than just trying to find things. So that's it from me. I'm happy to say that yesterday we were told that Time magazine gave us the award for one of the best inventions in 2023. But what matters more to me is what you think.
I'm on my. Well, that's pretty impressive, Steve. Thank you very much. Let's go to somewhere close to you. Tracy is with Walmart and out there over in America. Tracy, what's not to love? Any questions that you've got? Have you seen this before? Tracy, are you able to unmute yourself? If not, we'll go to, oh, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Very interesting. I have not seen this before. So I assume you're doing some testing, some testing in facilities, but no, I have not seen this before. It is very interesting as a kind of next generation to RFID, which never really took hold. So it's very interesting.
Hey, thanks, Tracy. Torsten's with Kaufland. Any questions? Anything new or different? Any reactions?
Yeah, impressive. I've never heard about labels accessible for Bluetooth. So really interesting, not only for e-food business or online business. So I would be happy to learn more about it, Steve.
Wonderful. Yeah, we'd love to do that.
Would like to contact you afterwards.
Excellent. Thank you.
Ursula's with Procter & Gamble. Ursula, are you any reactions from you at Procter & Gamble? Have you seen this before? Is it different?
No, I've never seen it. You know, I agree with Walmart saying that it is the next generation of RFID. I'm curious about, you know, what the cost. He said that it's going to be like cents, you know, like very low cents. You know, and how do we initiate the process? Does it initiate at the manufacturing side, or it can be flexible to be initiated
Yeah.
at any point in the supply chain?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So with some of our larger customers, they're driving source tagging. So at the time of manufacturing, it gets integrated. We're working with companies like WestRock to actually integrate this into the fiber of cardboard boxes to make that easier. But also this can be applied in the distribution center and also integrated into reusable crates and pallets. Because there's no battery, you can actually overmold this or even put it in the injection mold and track those crates and actually reduce the loss of crates, which is one of the problems that we solve by tracking where they were last seen.
I haven't got a last question yet. Professor Beck, I see you put something in the chat and then we'll come to Martin. Professor Beck.
Yeah, Steve, yeah, thanks for the presentation. You know, obviously a lot of the drive around RFID has been trying to standardize to enable the tags to be read by multiple systems. So no one company is reliant upon one company. So things like the GTIN standards and so on. Can any system read your tags or the chip that you're using for Williot?
Qualified, yes. So it's Bluetooth. So any Bluetooth reader can use it. You need to be using our software as a service system to kind of make sense of the stream of Bluetooth packets. That's how we monetize what we do. One thing I would say is there are actually 3 streams of standards activity that we're participating in, dancing with giants. Both the Bluetooth SIG is extending standards around this, but also IEEE to integrate this into Wi-Fi, and a huge amount of work going on with 3GPP. This will ultimately end up being part of 5G Advanced. So standards are important, and today we use the GS1 standards, serial GTINs, and so forth for tracking.
But as things stand, Steve, only your software will read these tags.
Yeah, only our software will read our tags, but our tags use a lot of standard technologies. So they're produced using standard, actually RFID machines, only swapping this out. And we are working with those standards bodies so that there'll be flexibility and choice.
Thanks, Adrian. Okay, Martin's put his hand down, I think, but we'll come back to him afterwards if he's still got his hand up. But let's go back to you, Jeremy.
Perfect. Thank you, Colin. Yeah, and Martin, if you do have any questions or for anyone, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll make sure those get answered either online in the chat or offline through other conversations. Also, just a reminder, please jump into the Google form, share your thoughts on Steve. I know I was at the pub last night with a couple of founders and one of them was like, there's this game-changing startup that has like these chips for less than a few pence, and I'm like, oh, will you? And they're like, yeah, it is. So there we go. Steve, word is getting out, Steve.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, and great job with the pitch. Let's jump into our third company, and this is a very interesting solution here. So with a bot and an online fraud protection system, Datadome are able to mitigate attacks with unparalleled accuracy. To tell you more, here's Guillaume.
Thanks, Jeremy. Hi, everyone. Hopefully not having too much of a French accent today from the Paris office. Really good to see everyone coming from the e-commerce world. So yeah, to be very concise, Datadome, who we are bot mitigation and online fraud experts, right? We only do this. And as of today, we do protect a bit more than 300 customers, mainly around e-commerce, marketplaces, and media with several impacts. I can guess in the session today, we have several, obviously, persona. So basically, the challenges that we solve for our customers is mainly around helping them mitigate their automated and malicious traffic on the websites, API, and mobile applications. So we do work, as you can see, with the likes of Foot Locker, TripAdvisor, the New York Times. And the goal that we develop at Datadom, the DNA of the product and the company as a whole, is that we have mutualized protection. So all the signals that we do collect basically for customers, every new prospect that actually joins Datadom can actually benefit from the latest trends on bots patterns that our machine learning constantly analyzes actually for our customers. So basically, this is an autopilot and real-time solution. The end objective is not only to detect the malicious bots that can actually be on your website, your API, or on the SDK, but most importantly to help you solve the different teams managing this either manually or not efficiently enough through, let's say, CDN or WAF. Datadom comes really at the end of the chain to make sure that we collect all the signals to be able to solve those malicious bots. Now, maybe we also have some infrastructure people here today. So basically, we have 26 points of presence worldwide. The end goal is to analyze in less than 2 milliseconds, so it's very quick, all the bots going on your websites, and to make sure that we have the best treatment rate between you and your users. As we know, for an e-commerce, it's very challenging to ensure the best user experience for all the customer journey. Now, to be even more concrete in terms of typology of attacks that we do protect from the whole funnel of the customer journey, from the homepage to the delivery. So for example, we'll protect the likes of e-commerce such as Foot Locker on basically specific product catalogs that are being stolen or actually resold on the dark web. The end goal here is not only to protect the website rights, but all the specific limited editions. I'm thinking about peak periods, as some of you might have experienced in the past, such as Black Friday or Christmas. So we have a SOC team dedicated 24/7 to analyze all the malicious bots and to scale actually the detection to the amount of traffic that you have on your websites. From the account page, that is very critical. We know how critical it is to protect your login page from stolen credentials, from basically the personal information, such as credit card numbers, such as phone numbers, such as email addresses. And those attacks can have the form of account takeover, credential stuffing. And then I'm thinking about the funnel as well, which is critical on the fraud aspects, which is pretty much we do protect the likes of AXA against code scraping, and this has a general business impact of having consumers go on another competitor or actually have a skewed analytics. So this is the whole funnel that we do protect. Now, very quickly to give you a use case that we have with Foot Locker. I like to take this one because it's speaking to everyone. Foot Locker, we do protect them against scalping, scraping bot attacks. They had automated spikes on specific product editions, such as the newer Jordan that they were releasing just before Black Friday. And the goal for Datadom is that they were not able, without our solution, to mitigate those spikes. They were not only losing products, but also customers, because conversion rate is dropping down. So the end goal for us is to ensure beforehand that the attack is happening, to give you all the detection aspects to mitigate those bots. And how we do this, right? Basically, the solution is infrastructure agnostic. So the goal is to integrate on your server side to analyze all the HTTP fingerprint of the request. It can be through a CDN, it can be through a web server. We have, for example, lots of customers on Fastly, on CloudFront, on Cloudflare. The end goal is really to be at the edge to make sure to detect all the signals that we have. To give you some metrics, we do process a bit more than 3 trillion signals a day. And the goal is obviously to scale. And where the whole, I would say, DNA of the product and the mitigation is happening is on the client side, where we deploy a GS tag for website actually protection and an SDK for any mobile app that wish to be protected with a supervised, semi-supervised, and unsupervised mitigation. And to finish, basically, we have usually what we do suggest and what we like to call a threat audit of your malicious traffic, usually when, for example, engineering teams, infrastructure teams, security teams wish to know what's happening under the hood. The goal is to be as close as possible to users to give you all the data, all the metrics in one single dashboard of the malicious threat that you're facing. And then basically after a couple of days of receiving your production traffic to give you the threats that our team found. So basically that's pretty much it. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you very much indeed. We've got Elijah and Mariam from Wayfair. Elijah, I'll start with you. Elijah, any comments, any thoughts, any things that were not clear to you in the pitch from our friend here?
No, very cool product. Definitely something that our fraud department would be interested in. So interested to hear more.
Thank you very much. Amin is out there with Amazon out in the Middle East. Amin, are you able to share your thoughts? What was new and what was different from this presentation? Amin, are you there? Able to? Okay, I'll come back to you in a moment. Let's go to Grant Shipway of River Island. Grant, what was new and what was different from this presentation?
I think it's a very cool product. One thing I was interested in, Gillian, was you talk about sort of integration in 30 minutes. Just tell me a little bit more about how that works. How are you able to get something up and running, you know, into an existing setup in that sort of timescale?
Sure, Grant. Thanks for the question. Yeah, of course. So basically, the end goal of Datadome is to make sure that your team spends as less time as possible, not only on the detection, but as well on integrating the product, right? To ensure that they're focused on the right task. So what I will say here, depending on your infrastructure, we can integrate at every level. So we're really agnostic in that sense. Which, like for example, you have like Salesforce Commerce Cloud or Cloudflare or Fastly CDN. We can not only integrate on that because we pick up at the very edge all the requests on that side, on the server side, but we can also integrate at a lower level if obviously, some e-commerce company that, for example, I work with, they don't necessarily have a CDN, so we integrate at a lower level, which can be a web server, such as an Nginx integration, such as an ASP.NET integration, and even lower. So on the framework level. So depending on your infrastructure, it can be very quick. In our experience with our threat research team, but as well our solution engineering team that is usually doing this, it's really between, I would say 20 and I would say 30-35 minutes, depending on the resources obviously available on your side. But yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, John Fontaine is with Ahold Delhaize. He's our leader of VCR. John, have you got any questions or comments or thoughts on this presentation and this pitch from our friends and Guillaume?
No, we already get acquainted, and we are one of his customers with an operation in the United States.
And what has he fixed for? What does he fix for you? Why is this so compelling for you, John?
Well, if you listened well, of Colin, to the presentation, then he expressed his capabilities on botnet detection, and that's a very powerful way of assisting us in the US. Okay,
clear. Thank you. Over to you, Jeremy.
Perfect. Thank you, Colin. Well, don't forget to jump into the Google form and share your thoughts on Datadome. You can also add in questions that you might have there. And if you'd like a connection, we can make that happen for you right after this. But we're going to move on to our next pitch, and Signified is up next. They provide an end-to-end commerce protection platform that maximizes conversion. It automates the customer experience, and it eliminates fraud. Here's Ty to share more details. Ty, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Fantastic to be presenting to everyone today. Brief introduction to myself. My name's Ty. I've spent around 14 years consulting for e-commerce brands, and that's been a range of different tools from back office through to payments, and most recently on fraud and payment conversion. My position now is with Signified, where I look after our major accounts in the UK and in Germany. And at the most basic perspective, Signified helps our clients do two things. We help to maximize online sales through better website conversion, whilst helping to eliminate fraud and abuse. We currently partner with two of the world's 3 largest retailers, the likes of Walmart and eBay, as well as with payment service providers, WorldPay, one of the largest in Europe, and are rated as the most deployed solution for enterprise by DC360. I think over the past number of years has been a real growth within the industry for the need for merchants to adopt a tool like Signified. And this comes down to, I think, the increasing complexity of our shoppers, our DNA as shoppers. So maybe 15 years ago, we had a single credit card. We'd be buying from our home desktop and typically having things delivered to our home address. In that case, our digital identity was fairly easy to get a handle of. If we move forward to today, cross-border, omni-channel, mobile commerce, or into the future with conversational commerce, being able to subscribe to my heated seats in my BMW, the number of payment methods, delivery information, devices we use has proliferated. And this leads to something that at Signified we term as the identity and the intent gap. And that's, in very simple terms, the ability for a merchant to make a real-time, accurate decision as I'm on their website about who I am and what I'm trying to do. As we look at the impact of the widening of this gap, this manifests as friction throughout the customer journey. We all know that friction is bad because it lowers our website performance. And I think a couple of very clear examples that we'll all probably have experienced both as merchants as shoppers. That's a reCAPTCHA test when I'm logging in from a new device, trying to get into my online account. As I'm going through the checkout, perhaps my favorite merchant has built an amazing checkout experience. I get through to the last stage and my bank is then sending me a one-time passcode, making it difficult to check out. Very topical in the industry today is around the returns process. My expectations as a consumer are being led by the likes of Amazon, which is having my money back instantly. But it's very difficult for merchants to follow when it's hard to understand if I'm a genuine customer submitting a return or perhaps someone trying to commit cyber shoplifting. Another way to view this is as merchants are trying to deliver better customer experiences, they're being held back because they're still having to make trade-offs between customer experience and risk at multiple points throughout the customer journey. And this is where Signified comes in. The most basic level, Signified collects a huge amount of data from our merchants across the globe. If you compare the number of wallets that we have within our commerce network to the likes of Amazon, we have around twice as much data as them. So we have a wealth of understanding of consumers based on their historic behavior. So as we look at each point in the customer journey, whether that is a customer logging in, a customer going through the payment stage, or a customer submitting a return, as opposed to introducing friction at that point within the customer journey, our clients are able to ask us the question as to whether this is a good shopper, whether this is a bad actor that's using stolen credit card details, or perhaps as to whether this individual is trying to attempt some cyber shoplifting. By doing so, we can help reduce payment friction, ease the login process, and help our clients move towards more innovative returns, such as instant refunds. The results of this are quite stark. Through the reduction of friction at these different stages in the customer journey, we see overall web performance increasing anywhere between 2 and 6%. So having a very positive top line impact on the performance of the merchants that we partner with. Furthermore to that, because we're so confident in the decisions that we're making, we can also take the liability for any risk or fraud away from our clients. If we look at someone like Samsung, they offer a trade-in program where you can type in an EMEI number online and have up to a 40% discount immediately on a brand new headset before you post the old phone back. There's a huge risk component to Samsung there. However, they wanted to build their D2C presence through differentiating with a fantastic customer experience. We take on the risk decision for them, so they're able to deliver a next generation experience without worrying about the financial or risk impact of that. I think that's me coming up to time, so I'll take a pause there and love to hear your questions.
Let's go. Leah is with Desigual over there in lovely Barcelona. Leah, any new thoughts? Anything that you thought was different? Any questions that you might have? Leah?
Hi to everyone. Thanks for your presentation. First of all, a lot of information to analyze from our side because we are quite new in this area. So we are taking notes as crazy, and we will analyze all the information. That is everything very interesting. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Kay is with Pets at Home. Kay, hope you thought the pitch was interesting. Any thoughts, any new ideas that came to mind? Any questions?
Actually, we're in the process of moving over. So I've been working quite closely with Ty. So we're in the process of moving over to Signified imminently. So yeah, I mean, I'm pleased to see that there was no surprises there, Ty, that I wasn't happy about. But you know, we've had a really great experience with the transition over to Signified, and we're looking forward to seeing some of the potential great results on the back of it. But yeah, so far it's been really smooth is what I can say, and we've got some great opportunities ahead of us.
Martin is with, thank you. Martin is with bol.com. Martin, any reactions, any thoughts? I don't know whether you're implementing them either as well, but anyway, any thoughts?
I think it's an interesting presentation, Ty. One question from my side is, what do you need from Bol to implement the solution? Do you need our customer data?
So the most simple terms, we would take the data that you send to your payment provider. So to go through authorization, we would use a very similar data set to that to reach our decision on the customer journey and provide our feedback for you. The only other component is we do device tracking, which is inserted onto the front end with a piece of JavaScript. So we're not collecting new data. We're generally collecting data that's already being sent to generally the payment provider. We consolidate that with our own commerce network data. So as you would send us an email, a device ID, a delivery address, we would look through our commerce network, and around 99% of the time, we're able to add historic behavioral indicators from what we've seen across other merchants to give you more information than you started with.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Back to you, Jeremy.
Good. Thank you, Colin. And great pitch there, Ty. So we're going to now move on to our next company. Imagine if you could know as much about your business as criminals know about your business. Well, you'd be able to target them before they target you. Our next company allows retailers to do just that from SpyCloud. Here's Neil. Neil, over to you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Can you hear me okay?
We can, loud and clear.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody, and thanks for the opportunity of presenting to you today. Neil Cooper, I'm the VP of Sales for SpyCloud for EMEA, which is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Joined today on the call by one of my colleagues, Johnny Cope, who's also down in sunny Barcelona. It's not quite so sunny where I am today in Edinburgh, Scotland, so I'll keep the Scottish accent slow, but still stick to the 5 minutes, hopefully. We're in the business for 7 years now, based out of Austin, Texas. in the business initially as ATO prevention. But for this particular sector, we're very focused on consumer ATO prevention. It's very rare these days that criminals will try and use brute force to log into something or to break into something, but they're using innocent customers' credentials to effectively gain access to their accounts or their credit card details. The whole thing, the problem is predominantly driven by human behavior, good and bad. And we all have many, many passwords to remember. In fact, I did a study this morning in preparation for this call that I've got something like 35 different sites that I need to remember passwords for. So that in itself is going to generate bad behavior by duplicating passwords and using the same password on many different sites. So we as a business, what we do is we collect that information that the criminals have got access to. And there's two key areas that we collect that from. We collect it from things like third-party data breaches that you've all seen in the press over the past 10 years, where an organization loses their customer data, and then all of a sudden, the criminals that stole that data have access to credentials that those customers are using. But very shortly after we were founded, we also gained a very effective way of being able to gather data from botnets and from malware campaigns. Malware campaigns that frankly have accelerated like you wouldn't believe. That, you know, when I joined our business 4 years ago, there were typically 6 or 7 malware families operating every single week, and now there's about 50 or 60 malware families. So they're stealing not just credential information, but they're stealing lots of other valuable information that could aid and abet a fraudster, like home address, their IP address, the type of machine they're operating from. So if they want to try and spoof their identity or spoof their location, they can use that. They can do that by using things like VPN tunneling and the like. And the malware we're seeing recently is a lot of it is non-persistent malware. So it appears on the machine, it steals what it needs to steal, and then the malware deletes itself, which is quite extraordinary. And the analogy I would give to my children on that one would be, a burglar breaks into the house. They are stealing the crown jewel, they're stealing the expensive jewels in the jewelry box. They're on the way out, they're dusting down their fingerprints and hoovering the carpet. So there's absolutely no way of detecting that they've been in there. Until, of course, a customer loses a transaction or cash or something alike. The data we collect is quite staggering, and that's what we pride ourselves on, is the quality and the speed at which we can deliver the data. The numbers are hard to get your head around. 455 billion recaptured assets over the past 7 years. Very much curve going up the way in terms of how we're gathering that and how we're accelerating that collection. But if you think of the number of people on the planet, that makes up something like 40 assets per person on the planet. It's quite staggering. And the number of encrypted passwords and plain text passwords that we gather is quite staggering as well. The use cases that we have, we don't just service the retail space, but we also have a lot of customers that are protecting in-house staff. But for today's audience, the green section, we would talk about consumer risk protection. And I draw your attention to particularly the identity risk engine. Someone earlier, one of the earlier presenters, mentioned that at the point of account creation, it's important to understand if that's a synthetic user, a criminal, or a real user. And one of the technologies we have, one of the products we have, it gives you the ability to have a risk score based on a number of identifiers, whether that be an email address or a physical address. We then run that against our data. And so if you've got someone trying to buy an expensive electrical goods and you run that data and they've got more than one date of birth or they've recently been infected with malware, then you would want to score that quite high. Similarly, if there's no data at all on that individual, we would also give that a high risk score. So we call that SpyCloud Identity Risk Engine, and that's been used by a lot of our customers to do real-time checks at the point of authentication of granting someone a new account. I wanted to wrap up by just telling you a little bit about one of our long-standing customers. We're not allowed to name them, but they're comfortable with us saying that they're one of the top travel booking sites based in Europe. Huge amount of detection they get from our products, and the key takeaway for them is the strong ROI that the investment they made in SpyCloud allowed them to gain an ROI of less than 3 months. Now, we're providing information to them, and they've built a very effective back-end workflow that allows them to take action against these records that they find, these potential threat actors, rather than honest customers. And I'd love to share some of that with you. But any questions, I'd be delighted to take them. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much indeed. Let's go out. Best Buy Canada have been a great supporter of this process. We've got David and Amanda. David or Amanda, do you just want to unmute yourself and ask any questions you might have, or share any reactions? What was new and what was different in this presentation and this pitch?
Thanks, Neil, for the excellent presentation. Yeah, Best Buy is starting to get a lot of account takeover because I think the fraudsters are becoming more sophisticated. They're realizing, if they have a brand new account and they place an order for a high-end item, we're probably going to scrutinize it very heavily. So by doing the account takeover, they kind of naturalize themselves among someone who may have customer order history, but in fact it's a fraudster. So I'm actually really interested to learn more about this product. My question for you would be, how do we distinguish between, say, a false positive? For example, let's say someone moves, they get a new device, they have a new IP address. How does your product not cause too much friction for those customers?
It depends on customer to customer, but a lot of customers will set certain criteria that if they're not met, they'll do some kind of step-up authentication check. They may want to SMS the customer or physically call the customer to check that that is a real order. Perhaps it's being delivered to a different delivery address. We work with our customers in that respect and try and define those criteria in terms of when they would see that as being high risk, and then perhaps take further authentication methods.
Gotcha. So just to follow up, there isn't any sort of like hard decline rule, and in fact, that just escalates it to a second channel.
Well, we're providing the data, and you know your business better than we do, so we'd work with you for you to define those rules. Absolutely. There's the other question around things like multi-factor authentication, and when we detect a device that's been infected with malware, it's not just stealing the credentials, as I mentioned earlier, it's also stealing things like cookie sessions and session IDs. So if you have a kind of multi-factor authentication or 2FA process in place, that can also be bypassed by the criminals if they've got the quality of information they're stealing through botnets.
Yeah, definitely. We have a lot of we have a cyber intelligence team, and we see, there's accounts for sale. There's actually less account credentials for sale in terms of username and passwords. People are actually buying logs now, which is exactly as you mentioned, the cookies. But overall, excellent presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Conrad's with Adidas out there in, well, I'm not sure where you're based actually, Conrad. But Conrad, any questions, any thoughts? What was new? What was different from your perspective?
Yeah, no, sorry, I was just joining late, so not too much input. Great presentations, the last two that I've seen. Basically, I met SpyCloud at a venue in Prague, so I'm more interested in your investigation capabilities than what I've seen here, but that is just a different approach. So thank you for adding something new.
Yeah, thanks, Conrad. The data, the richness and quality of the data leads itself to many use cases, and there's one that Conrad just mentioned around investigations heavily used by law enforcement. So when you're getting to the point of chasing down a criminal, trying to find out who they actually are and where they are, it's also the data is very effective at doing that as well.
Very good. Roberto is with Loro Piano, which I think sell very nice clothes. Roberto, I think we've known each other for over a year now, and when we first met, you were starting on this journey on e-commerce. Roberto, any questions, any thoughts, any ideas that came out of this presentation from Neil?
Hello, everyone. So, yes, we are in the e-commerce market since post-COVID. It is increasing. So thanks for the presentation. All the presentation are interesting. I'm taking notes. So far, all clear about the presentation about the solution. So I can read on the right the answer to the question, and thanks to everyone for the information you are sharing and the solution you are proposing.
Yeah, Roberto, if you're just embarking on this, being fairly new to e-commerce in terms of your business, we can help by giving you a state of the nation. What do your customer profiles look like? What percentage of those have been credentials have been breached? We call that our data match rate test, and we're happy to do that for you free of charge.
Great, thanks, Neil.
Very good, Neil. Thank you very much. Jeremy, back to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Colin. And well done, Neil. Great pitch there. That's 5 down. We've got 4 to go. And as I mentioned at the top of the call, returns are a big issue for any e-commerce retailer. But AI is part of the solution. And the next company is using AI to help reduce returns and improve the bottom line for all retailers. From Bangalore, here's Punith. Punith, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. It was fascinating to observe that quite few solution providers who went before me were offering solutions to combat frauds in e-commerce, right? And that was, it tells what the need of the hour is. But just a quick note about me and the organization. I'm Puneet, and I work in the CEO's office at Sara. Now, Sara is a venture-backed e-commerce solutions provider helping enterprises and D2C brands globally with their returns and on-site customer conversions. Our flagship products are Eco Returns, which is the fastest growing e-commerce returns automation and production solution, and Sales GPT, which is an LLM-powered AI sales rep for your online store. Now, given that the current event is about e-commerce loss innovation challenge, it made a great sense for us to pitch our flagship product, Eco Returns. Now, I need not tell you how big a problem returns and return frauds are, right? But if you have to just take a quick glance over what it is, on average, almost 25 to 40% of the products are being returned, and the return rates have also gone up drastically in the past 5 years as well. Now, what can you do when returns are no longer just an e-commerce problem, but it's more like an e-commerce feature because the touch and feel element of the shopping is missing? So therein comes the solution, Eco Returns. Eco Returns can help you not only just manage and automate your returns, but also helps you reduce your returns as well. Now, the natural question is how, Puneet, how is this? How can this happen, right? What it is that you're doing with this? Now, our state-of-the-art tech infrastructure and our AI-based analytical system helps you understand the root cause of why the return is happening. And so good is our analytics that it could help you preempt return frauds as well. Our AI system takes over hundreds of parameters into account, gives out a detailed assessment of each and every order that has been placed. Just to tell you a little something, sometimes people say that technology, a great technology is something that works so good that it becomes very difficult to differentiate it from magic. And I'm telling you this because we recently had a customer who came up to us and told us that this absolutely seems like magic. Now, I would love to show you the use cases and take you through our product and the analytics and features as well, but keeping brevity in mind, I'm kind of moving forward without showing you how our platform looks like. Major integrations with our product, we have all integrations that you could think of, from logistic service providers to software integrations, you name it, we have it on our system. Platform integrations, we are operating on the bigger e-commerce platforms such as Shopify and WooCommerce, but we also provide a standalone solution for several enterprises. We provide white label and green label solutions as well, and we provide our services in those lines as well. So these are some of the brands that are using our services. They are on board with us for a little over 2 years. Our attrition rate is close to 0, which shows you that once you get on board with us, you are sorted. Just to shed some light on Sales GPT, because I've mentioned it in the earlier slide as well. I know that the word GPT has been thrown around quite often these days, but we are truly a generative pre-trained transformer. Sales GPT is a LLM-powered AI sales rep for your online stores, and it could help you with your conversions. We are present globally. We're operating in 32 countries, and we are also kind of expanding our services into the Nordic regions as well. And feel free to hit me up. I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Punith. I think Adrian's got a little remark in the chat for you, but Paul Cash is with Tesco, and I know that they look at many different ways of thinking about returns. Paul, are you able to share any immediate responses and thoughts on Punith's presentation and pitch?
Yeah, hi Colin. Hi Punith, thanks for the presentation. It's great, thanks. Yeah, we're very early into the journey, looking into the refund journey and how we can reduce returns. Is there any sort of hints and tips that you could share on how your tool would really help us do that?
Absolutely, Paul. What we can do is we can kind of give you a detailed assessment on, first we'll understand your business, where you're operating out of, your demography, your customer base, which target of the customers are you catering to. Once we understand that, we can kind of give you out of the box strategies for free. And also, if interested, we'll take you through our platform, and also we can give you a free trial demo of a platform for like few weeks so that you get to know what exactly is it that you'll be getting into. Sounds good?
Yeah, great. Thanks very much. I'll look to tap you up. Thank you.
Okay, Raf Lawson's with the Hut Group. Raf, you've seen a few magicians in your time. What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I agree with Adrian on that. I find a lot of these solutions will say, hey, we've got AI, right? Everyone's got it. It's not a big deal. For me, though, what I'm looking for is something that I can use business rules and AI combined. Can I set my own business rules of this?
Absolutely, absolutely, Ralph. The entire system is customizable. You can set your own rules. You can have AI when you need it, and if you need human intervention as well, we'd be
And to
happy
build a
provide you
rule,
that.
is it quite simple, or do I need to understand code to do it?
I think it would take you about a minute or so to set your own rule up. There's no need for you to understand the coding or the entire infrastructure behind it.
Okay, so the rules UI is pretty good, pretty easy to understand, even for a simpleton like myself. Okay, cool.
Yep. Like myself as well.
Yeah, I get that. But yeah, it was a pretty good presentation. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen, what the product looks like. Some screens or so. But I guess I can arrange a chat with you later for that.
Sure. Would be happy to take you through the product.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, back to you, Jeremy.
Perfect. Thank you, Colin. Well done there, Punith. And of course, as with all of these companies, if you'd like an introduction or if you'd like to meet with them after this, we'd love to make that introduction. You can drop that request into the Google form, and we'll help move things forward from there. That is 6 down. We have our last 3 to go, and we're going to stay on the topic of returns. Our next company, EasyClaim, is simplifying the process for claiming refunds for lost and stolen parcels. From EasyClaim, please give it up for Daniel.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well?
We can.
Perfect. So this is Daniel from Germany speaking, as you can hear, and it's a pleasure to meet you all. So I am the founder of EasyClaim. I have a background in logistics, especially parcel delivery, in consulting, and most recently I was in charge for operational excellence of a e-commerce leader in Germany, from Germany. And one fact basically that I observed there was really shocking me. So what I want to do is I want to share with you my shocking stage. And this fact is that alone in Germany, over 4 million parcels get lost or stolen on the last mile every year. This was really insane for me, and especially because of the monetary impact that this causes. This is almost €500 million of loss that is basically put on the retailer's P&L. So for me back then, in my role, this meant a mid-size 6-digit loss impact on my P&L. And what we basically observed then was that recovering these losses is not at all easy, because parcel carriers do not really make it very convenient for shippers to return these damages. Yeah. What happens normally from our EasyClaim experience is that parcel carriers are creating a lot of bureaucracy. There are extensive documentation requests. There are extensive legal document requests that they are happening. Parcel carriers are playing for time, so reaction times are quite high. They are delegating responsibility and finding excuses, for example, contactless deliveries and COVID. So they try basically to avoid the responsibility. They are renegotiating, they are refusing the payments, or especially if you are a rather small retailer, they are silencing and ignoring at all. So what EasyClaim does is we help you get back your money, get back and recover your damage of losses and damages on the last mile, and this even outside of your transportation insurance. How this basically looks like on our easyclaim.io platform is you have a workflow to create claims, claims for losses in under 3 minutes. Based on this, EasyClaim is providing a service to follow up and generate and act as a debt collection service and follow up basically on your claims, because these might be hundreds per month. Last but not least, we are providing full transparency through dashboards and a digital claim file. For one of our customers where we did a very recent test with them, they were basically a mattress and bedding company, one of the globally leading ones. They were handing over 43 shipments that were lost in August 23 with a value of like 10K. And please remember, these 10K are fully bottom line. So you can extrapolate it, and just for the small market of Germany, you would have roughly a 6-digit number bottom line that is basically threatening your P&L. As a result of this test, we basically recovered in less than 6 weeks 50% of those losses, and we reduced the claim creation effort for this company by roughly 50%, while still finding a lot of improvement opportunities. So what we do as EasyClaim is basically we operate within 3 steps. Step 1 is the investigation request that comes right after your claim introduction, and we try to basically get your parcel delivered. Second step, and from there we are only being paid on a provision basis, is the money back service. So this comes basically when the parcel could not be delivered as promised. And step 3 might be a judicial escalation. So as I just read, I'm out of time. Let me quickly jump to the last slide and motivate you to start your first claim on EasyClaim for free. And if you want to discuss a more individual solution for claim management end-to-end and logistics at all, just reach out to myself. Thank you.
Who'd have thought that mattresses would go missing in such big mattresses? Kay, you've got a question. Kay from Pets at Home.
Thanks, Colin. Yeah, firstly, thanks for that, Daniel. That was really interesting, actually. And it's a bit of a hot topic for us at Pets at Home. I'm just curious to understand. So obviously you mentioned there around the claim process, which takes 2 to 3 minutes. My understanding then, that would be kind of an individual manual process. Is there any potential to automate that and embed that within kind of bot processes, or is that a potential?
Yes, we have a couple of potential there. So first, that we have already implemented is a mass upload. So that is especially relevant for like a smaller test. But midterm, when we talk about mass claims, I would suggest to think about an integration really to one of your operations or customer service software pieces.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. I'll keep your details and be in touch. Thank you.
Elijah, you had your hand up, your big comedy cartoon hand up. Elijah, what's your question, or just what are your reactions to this presentation?
Yeah, hi Daniel. Thanks for the presentation. A few questions. Is this EU based at the moment? We're based in North America, and does it work with any carrier?
So right now we are operating especially from Germany. So for parcels that are sent from Germany, we are keen to go more international and keen to project this also to other markets.
Okay. All right, that answers that. Nadim is with Next. Nadim, this strikes me as being in your space a bit.
Hi, Colin. I mean, Daniel, it's a really, really good presentation, a great product. The only thing I'd say is, in terms of payments, this is more led towards payments and chargebacks, which is not in my space. What I'm looking for is a solution, and I'm sure you're going to say you can help, and if so, we can have a conversation offline. But what I'm looking for is a solution for credit customers, because what the problem we have at Next is, and I'm conscious of time, is we refund the customer first, and then we'll do our investigations sort of post refund, if that makes sense. Whereas most retailers will do it the other way around. We're very customer centric in that way. So the courier will, the customer will call and provide proof of return. We'll refund them. We'll get an item into the warehouse. We'll scan it, refund them immediately, and then 24 hours later, the QC team will look at it and say, actually, this is not the item that we were expecting. So it's a post-refund solution that I'm looking for. But we can, I mean, I've taken the details. I'm happy to have a conversation offline about this.
Yeah, sure, let's do that. Sounds like an interesting use case.
Okay, Adrian Beck, you had an interesting point you made in the chat. Do you want to just share your thoughts?
Yes, Daniel, is there a danger with this that me as a retailer, a customer rings up saying my product's not arrived, and you go and then they just give it to you and you just claim it back of the courier when in fact the customer has stolen it? How do you make the differentiation?
Yes. So basically, the customer has to sign during the process a declaration of non-receipt. So this is basically a juridical document that is that is part of the proof of the non-delivery.
So you send a document to the customer, do you?
We do this on a digital way. So basically, we provide a link to our customers or to the online shop, and the online shop, because we don't have the permission to directly get in touch with the customer, the online shop can basically provide the link for digital signature to the end customer, to the receiver.
Great. So I just say, no, I never received it. Great, thank you. But I have. And then the courier pays. Sounds great.
Best case, yes.
Okay. All right, on that controversial note, Jeremy, back to you.
Thanks, Colin. Great segue there. All right, well done, Daniel. We've got 2 more to go. And of course, any workflow or returns process, it's important to know what the product is. You can scan, you can use tags, but of course, you can use computer vision. And our next company is looking at how you can use computer vision and AI tools to identify any item. From Pixar Analytics, please give it up for Nader.
Hey everyone, thanks for having us here. I'm Nader, I'm Head of Sales and Business Development on our side, and I want to give you a brief introduction to Pixel. I cannot, it's having no problems. So yeah, we do computer vision and artificial intelligence. And first of all, I want to introduce you to how our technology works, because this is the fundament. So actually, when you look at surface structure of objects or parcels or whatever it is, it has a natural structure, and this is a fingerprint, especially when you look at paper, carton boxes, and this kind of stuff. You see in the middle of this picture that there's a paper structure of 1 square centimeter. You can use any kind of coordinate to do that, and we are transferring this fingerprint into a 128-bit code, so we can easily check within billions of items or whatever it is in milliseconds what it is, and we can put any information behind this kind of code. So we are very versatile. So we look at different kind of surfaces, which that you can see here on the slide. It's cork, carton boxes, metal, paper, different things. We need to check it if it is really unique in some point when you look at metals, but actually it's pretty doable. And so here we have some problems that we can solve. So on the one hand, we can go for a tracking the identification in the supply chain. So throughout the supply chain, we can, at any point with integrated cameras of yours already, or we put some, we can track and trace at any time. We can do fraud prevention. We can check your item itself, or the package or the parcel of the item. We can check the originality. For example, if people are returning some stuff, you can easily check if it's the same product. And if you go for example, customer complaints, we can add cameras in your packing stations where we can see all the items in the boxes, and we can give evidence if someone is returning something, if someone is claiming something which was not sent. We can immediately say, hey, we have evidence here, no issue. Nothing can be missing. Either the box was destroyed by the carrier, but this is something else. Then we have our own Pixel Scan Cube, which is a hardware built by us. With 1 click, we can measure the volume, weighting, and dimensions, and also AI and computer vision involved. With 1 click, we can create master data for the warehouse optimization. We can, the next step would be label reading and label improvement. We can enhance the label reading, because we are also checking everything around the label. So we can, even if the label is dropping off or the label is damaged, we can recreate the label easily. What we're doing right now also at DHL. I will explain you in a second. And then we can also do object and material classification. So we are looking for different kind of materials, and we can select them. And for sustainability reasons, it's very important to sometimes also count all these kind of different materials, especially when it's about plastics. Why it's so beneficial? It's very cost efficient, as we can use your infrastructure which is already given. If there are cameras already integrated, if not, there can be off-the-shelf cameras integrated, so it doesn't need to be high resolution ones, but it's depending on the use case. It's eco-friendly, as we don't need to tag anything. We don't put anything physically on your products or boxes or whatever. It's just really the camera which is reading the surface, which makes it fully automated. It's fake proof, as we are talking about fingerprints. It cannot be reproduced like QR codes or whatever you kind of codes you're using, which is also persistent, as the damages we can reproduce or recover the codes and the labels. And we have higher reading rates, as it's mostly about the hardware. And we are working also in the postal logistics, which is about mails, where we have a high speed with the mails. Here are some use cases of ours. So postal logistics, we have very much experience, as we generated from that area with Deutsche Post and DHL. We do fake stamp recognition and reuse stamp recognition. We do parcel re-identification. When the label is dropping off, we can rematch to the existing infrastructure and reprint the label easily and send it to the customer, which can be also interesting for your site. Track and tracing of chipboards we do throughout the supply chain, also face the customers. So you can also put customer storytelling stuff if you want to integrate an application for customers that they can scan their individual items. We can do material identification with color coding, where it's about paper, which we identify where it comes from to reduce the waste. We help a RFID company putting some stuff, information on RFIDs by optical reading of the labels to be sure, and our own system, which we have with the scan station. We do the warehouse master data analysis. These are some of our customers. I'm really happy to answer some questions of yours. Thank you very much.
Love it. Thank you very much indeed. Steve Middleton's with the Body Shop globally, a great friend of ECR, alumni of ECR, Steve, any questions, any thoughts, any reactions to you on this pitch from Nadir?
Thank you. I'm going to say wow from a point of view of just actually thinking about the technology and moving this forward. So let me just to understand, you were saying we can actually capture cardboard box texture and actually have that create a fingerprint for it. So
the cardboard itself is the fingerprint. You cannot copy it. It's once and unique. Every square centimeter you see on the box, it's unique.
So this, forgive me for those RFID people out there at this time, insofar as actually doing carton tracking, you would actually say, I don't need to have an RFID tag. I can actually just have this solution.
Depending on the application which you want to use, because we're also supporting RFID producers, because we are delivering the information which is on the box for verification processes. But actually, yes, you would not need it.
Well, very interesting, especially from an eco company like us not having RFID, which aren't recyclable. So thank you for that.
Very bad. Those
Thank
bad
you for your
RFID
interest.
tags. Henrik is with Phoenix Outdoor. Henrik, saw you in October. I think you were heading up to Leicester. You seem to have got back. Any questions? Any comments?
You are correct, Colin. I survived my little journey up there. Yes, after the national strike, isn't it? No, I would actually say Stephen actually just took whatever I had on question there, like, because we are also a retail and an e-com retailer, obviously, like, that doesn't have RFID, and we are also very much sustainable. So, I mean, this is a very interesting technology for sure. So now I would definitely reach out. I would like to hear more about it for sure.
And then Martin, back at bowl.com, any questions, any thoughts? Is it clear what they do?
No, clear presentation, Colin. I think it's a very interesting and innovative technology. So I'll have a look in it.
Very good. Jeremy, back to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Colin. And well done there, Nader. It's time for our last pitch. And I told you we're keeping the best to last. So from forward up to wrap it all up, here's Stephen. Stephen, over to you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Hi, thanks everybody. I'm Steve Smith. I'm Director for Strategic Accounts at Forta. And I wanted to start today just by answering a quick question, which is why do anything at all? And the answer to that can be addressed with just a couple of numbers here, £1 and £30. And the significance of those two numbers is that for every pound lost to fraud, we actually lose more like £30 is lost in false declines. And that's primarily because of things like rules-based systems, right? They've become over-leveraged, too difficult to manage. You have too many rules and you're declining too many customers, or we're applying friction in the wrong parts of the customer journey and damaging customer experience, which leads to lower spend to our business. So really what I want to show you is that Forta is the trust platform for digital commerce, giving you back trust in consumers while allowing you to continue to block the fraudsters. So how do we do that? Well, the way that we can help you with that is that by essentially, oh, sorry, can I? Yeah, there we go. Sorry. I'm not seeing what I should be seeing. Sorry, guys. Can you? Yeah, sorry. No, still not. There we go. So essentially, the way that we do that is we make identity-based decisions. We know the customers when they come to any of your digital touch points. We know who they are, and we know what their propensity to act in certain ways is. So we can reduce the friction for good customers, apply friction to bad customers, or just outright block fraudsters. So a good example would be with the good customers is leveraging exemptions at checkout, or increasing the speed of that they can get a refund when they make a return so that you can reconvert that revenue because we trust them. In the case of a bad customer, it would be quite the opposite. Let's apply 3DS, or let's apply additional checks to returns to make sure that we're getting the goods back correctly. And in the case of fraudsters, just block them. We don't let them buy anything, and we will deal with their chargeback representations if they're liar buyers. So how do we do it? Well, that starts with a base of merchant networks. So we have about $350 billion of transactions that flows through our platform from the largest merchants in the world. On top of that, we then layer our patent protected AI, and it is patent protected AI. It's unique to us. That AI is what allows us to tease out who are these individuals, or when people are trying to hide their identity, what is the actual real persona that's sitting behind it. From that, then we're able to gather their behavior, connect them to fraud rings or to good behavior. And then on top of that, we then lay out our people, process, and technology. So that's the integrations to your e-commerce platforms, to your PSPs, to your order management, so that everything works in concert. And we add to that our own people as well. We have more than 200 analysts that are constantly reviewing new fraud attack vectors. And when we see one, we train the AI models to see it. So we're not just reliant on the technology. Got to have a human element there as well, and we have a lot of that. And we give a very white glove service to our customers. We're used to dealing with the largest enterprises. So you have a customer success manager and people that are dedicated simply to your business. And then lastly, on top of that, we layer all of the applications. Essentially, our platform is one big API for identity and behavior of consumers. How you use to apply that is up to you, but it could be in promos abuse, account abuse, reseller abuse, payment fraud, payment optimization, refund abuse, or chargeback resolution. But how do we do it better? Because a lot of us vendors sound the same, I'm sure. Like I say, the merchant network is key. We process a huge amount more data than our competitors, more than 200,000 merchants in there as well. So our merchants fight fraud as a consortium. If Nike is attacked today, we will apply the defenses to that attack to Adidas the same day, so that as anybody sees a new attack vector or we become aware of something, everybody else is essentially inoculated against that attack. The accuracy of our system means that we're tracking over 1.2 billion personas. That's 4 times more than Amazon and about twice our nearest competitor. That higher accuracy means that we have less false declines. A new user to you is already known to us, so we know if they're to be trusted or not. And then lastly, it's that enterprise grade piece. And in terms of scale, we've been building this for 10 years. We didn't come out of stealth yesterday with 6 months of kind of chat about GPT. This is something that's been around for a long time. And it's built for 100% automation and scale. We have a grocery aggregator in North America who processes $38 billion worth of product, and they have no manual review, none, because they don't need it. They can rely on our system to return a decision in less than 400 milliseconds. Where have we done it before? Well, I'm not going to share a lot of logos today. We have confidentiality agreements with our customers. You've seen a couple, but we have 4 of the 10 largest in apparel, 3 of the 10 largest in health and beauty, 3 of the 10 largest in hospitality, and 5 out of the 6 largest in footwear. I've named already 2 of those, so you know those ones already. And what do we do for them? Well, we increase their revenue by up to 10 points. We cut their chargebacks across all codes by up to 90%, so that's service and fraud. And we reduce OPEX by 50% by reducing either the operating cost of the platforms or the teams that are supporting it, allowing them to be more productive. So, one final thing. Talk about trust. How can you trust us? All vendors sound the same, right? Well, if you run Forta for 90 days, we will prove that we can outperform any other vendor on metrics that you choose. Approval rate, exemption rate, chargebacks, anywhere you want to go with that. We're quite happy to fight on any front. And if we don't outperform them, you pay nothing for that 90-day period.
Stephen, excellent. Very clear. Reminds me of what the Romans have ever done for us, sort of type sketch. But look, Kennedy Scogan's there with Festival Foods in America. I think you've got a colleague on as well, Kennedy. Any quick reactions from you, Kennedy, on what you've seen presented by Stephen?
So you're getting Megan. Kennedy's not here. And I take the lead on heading the e-commerce department here. But overall, this is super, super interesting to me, just in terms of the customization and really looking to streamline the fraudulent activity and the return process. And then just talking about the teams being more productive. That's huge for my perspective. And then the thoughts around just the technology and the fact that you have the people aspect, because for us from Festival, it's all about the guest experience. So I think that is super key. So nice job. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vit Novak is with Reve in Germany. Maybe you could unmute yourself, Vit, and it's great to have you part of the group, by the way. Vit, are you able to unmute yourself and share your thoughts? Thank you.
Yes, hello, just very briefly. It was very interesting to be here. For me, the first time, I heard some really interesting pitches, or let's say presentations and technologies, and I think we will consider like 1 or 2. We'll discuss more with my colleagues, and basically it's especially like Viliot and Pixel Analytics, because that's a bit more for us than the e-commerce, which is our only little spin-off as of now. But thank you very much.
Thanks very much, indeed. Great to have you on this group and others. Frank is with Binderwood, big supermarket business out there in Saudi Arabia. Frank, if you're able to unmute yourself and just share any thoughts on the presentation from Stephen from Forta. Frank, you able to?
Hi, Colin. Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, I found it quite interesting. I'm fairly new in the whole e-commerce business, although we have got a supermarket chain. We are partially in e-commerce, mostly groceries in here. So I'm obviously seeing the amount of users. You're talking about 1.2 billion and things, and on not only your presentation but on the others, I was thinking, how transferable is this across the globe? Does it actually matter? Or you know, obviously our customers are mainly based in here. Would it make any difference?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it can do. So our overall coverage fluctuates from kind of region to region. While we have a very, very high percentage in North America, we might have a little less in LAM, for example. But in general, we have a very high coverage rate globally. That anybody that claims to have more than about 94, 95% of the shopping public can't. People die, new people get credit cards. Somewhere in between, you're able to track most of them, but never all. So it really depends. If those people are shopping with global brands, the chances are we've seen them before.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed, Steve. And Jeremy, back to you and to wrap this up. And I think you're giving back a few minutes in people's time.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Colin. Well, what a wrap that is. Steve, thank you for a strong final finish there. But 9 fantastic pitches. So well done to each of the solution providers for really putting your best foot forward and showing us what your technology can do. And thanks also to everyone who's been involved in judging as well. Your comments, your questions, your assessment of the companies, but also your feedback that you've given through the Google form will be super helpful to the startups and also to us as well. So please do make sure you click through to the final submission for the Google form so that we receive those responses. And assuming you've given a rating to all 9 companies, we'll then put you in the draw to win one of the 2 chocolate hampers. So we'll be in touch today or tomorrow with the winners for the chocolate hampers. Another thought is the 9 companies you've seen here today, fantastic solutions, and each of them are perhaps relevant to you in different ways. But one of the things we've done to make today more shareable is we've created a lookbook. So for everyone who's registered for the event, we'll send you a copy of the lookbook right after this, and that contains each of the 9 profiles of the startups that have showcased today, as well as their contact details, so you can reach out to them directly. The other thing that you might find interesting is a website on the ecrloss.com website where you can see each of the top 30 solutions. So as I said, our retailers rated and reviewed over 125 solutions. They got that back to the top 30, and those are showcased on the ECR website. So you can take the link that's in the chat. Mark dropped that in a few minutes ago. And check out them, 9 of whom you've met today. But on behalf of ECR, the judges and the startups, thank you so much for joining. We hope you found today useful. We hope it's inspiring and practical in equal measures. And we wish you all the best in putting some of the solutions you've seen here today to work for you. Thanks again for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. I'm still there. Yeah. Perfect. Lingering.